Hey, welcome back to the LakeScape podcast. This week we're talking a lot about one of the core pillars of LakeScape. So, as you know, it's design, build, and maintain. And the maintenance part of taking care of your entire lakescape is super critical on all fronts, but specifically the lawn. What kind of warms your heart when you look out to this beautiful green lawn? A big part of that team has joined us today, and this is Curtis. Curtis came on board, has a cool history that kind of brought you to this point in time and joining the Lakescape team. And with that said, tell us a little bit about, kind of where you came from, kind of your philosophy on how we take care of our customers' lawns and how you got here.
Thank you, Dave. I've been in the golf course maintenance business since 1997 in Minnesota. Spent my first 6 years on a golf course there. Decided I was going to move south and learn about southern turf grass. So in 2002, I moved to Naples, Fort Myers. Very big change, and one that was welcome. Expanded my horizons as far as what kind of plants I can take care of, and learned a lot about southern turf grasses at that time. Then I made the decision to move back north for family reasons and was in South Dakota, then Idaho, then Washington. And when I was in Washington, an old friend of mine reached out to me named Pat Morstead and said we need to chat. And we had a chat, and within 2 months, my car turned southeast, and here I sit in Alabama. And the smile's on my face because I'm excited for the challenge, excited for the slight change. But at the same time, I get to carry my passion for plant maintenance to the customer level. Alleviate another one of those pain points we talk about.
Now, if I remember, so Pat's the general manager of the landscape division for Lakescape. Now, you guys have a history that goes way back as well, right?
Way back. So Pat was my first superintendent on the golf course. Taught me a lot of what I know and gave me an opportunity to learn a lot faster than most do in that golf business. While we were together in Minnesota, Pat likes to build things, so he recruited us to start doing some landscaping on the side, and that's kind of where some of this started.
It's funny because, how the world works, right? 20 plus years later, the same person you kind of got into an industry with, that you circle back and come together. And, Pat has an interesting philosophy in the sense that you can take care of the environment, but also take care of the landscape, and in our case, the lakescape that our customer wants.
Correct.
Tell me, how does that work with you? How do you think about taking care of our customers' environment? Because there's a sensitivity. We've got, fresh water just on the other side of the lawn versus, maybe inside the city.
With a background in golf, we were an easy target. Throughout the 90s, 2000s, everybody was trying to, nail a golf course. But in reality, we're just like anybody else. It's dollars and cents at the end of the day, but it comes down to, are you responsible for this property you're going to take care of? Personally, both Pat and myself, we care. We care about what we're putting out there, care about what goes into the ground, how it goes into the ground, and what's going to happen to it afterwards. I never want to show up and blanket something out there that I don't know what it's going to do. So keeping in mind, we are by the lakes. There's, products that we can use that are slow release. They're not going to wash and flush away on us. They're not a one shot, I'm green for 2 weeks and then all of a sudden it's gone. They're more timed and controlled release. Along with the fertilizers that we like to use, excuse me, we like to wake up the soil, feed the microbes. All this together is going to create a healthy plant, healthy grass plant. That alone is half of my weed control philosophy. If you cater to the happy, healthy plant that you want, the ones we don't want are not going to be there. The other side of that is, yes, we live in an environment where everything wants to grow. It's near, the jungle. So we are going to use some chemicals, right. Some pre-emergent herbicides, some post-emergent herbicides, but the rates we use them at are extremely low. We time them properly, make sure it's not going to rain and wash off. It's everything we do at our hearts is taking care of this environment, taking care of the lake we're on. It's our privilege to be around this lake.
And it's interesting you say that because a lot of the customers that we've had over the years, and how Lakescape began was it started as a marine construction company, and then now Lakescape is a completely separate company that's involving both marine construction, the landscapes, the maintenance, all of these different things. And how it came is, as a dock company, it was like, hey, I just need you to build a dock. Well, how are you going to use your dock? What do you want to do with this? How does this fit into your lifestyle? And so it was more of, let's understand how you're going to interact with this environment. And, when Pat came on board, it was like, well, how do you want to use this outdoor space? What's your vision for when you're sitting here with a cup of coffee and looking out at the lake? What do you want to see in front of you? And this lake, a lot of folks kind of went the traditional, keep all the trees. Let's have our lake place kind of back in the woods. And it's migrated to where, obviously some people don't like no trees, but it's migrated to where it's more of a sculpted, crafted, image of what they want. It just happens to be, 100 feet away from the water.
Right.
And with that said, a lot of the bad habits that we've all garnered over the years, you just go through the yellow pages. I guess we don't do that anymore, but you find some lawn service. The guy comes out with a big tank of water and something, sprays the yard for 5 minutes and leaves. And other than getting a bill, I don't know what I got, so explain how we're going to approach each individual lawn, and what it needs versus kind of the traditional. I personally, and I'm not as well trained obviously as, but I have a hard time just seeing this truck pull up. It's spraying the same thing on every yard that it goes see all day long. How does that work?
That's a blanket application. That is not what I like to do. Yes, there are similarities where I can use products across the board for our clients, but at the same time, there's each homeowner, each property is different. We have the capability of taking a soil test, if needed, to tell me what do I need to add to this soil to bring it up to the levels that I desire. Desirability means, what does the customer want? Do you want golf course level? Well, that takes a few more steps. Do you want not quite? We can get into that. Our difference is the relationship. Before I even step foot on your property, I'm going to find out what you expect. Then we're going to have a conversation, and I'll explain to you what it takes to get to that level. And then during the process, throughout every season, every visit, you're going to know what we did, when we did it, and a follow-up call or text message when we're done. Every week as far as recurring maintenance. The guys in the truck, they're probably not going to tell you that your shrub needs some attention, or it looks like you got a dry spot over here on your yard. We should look at the irrigation. Did you notice this big, lightning got your tree? All these different things that involve your outdoor living space that the average Joe doesn't think of. That's where I think we come in. It's the full, we're going to look at everything.
Right.
My eyeballs are used to that.
To that same point, if I see an irrigation problem, well, if I only treat grass, I'm not going to bring it up because I can't fix it.
Right.
We can fix all of those things.
By licensed and certified professionals.
Absolutely.
That's part of what excited me about this opportunity, was bringing all these things together under one roof. It's extremely unique, in my opinion.
Specifically on Lake Martin, I know a lot of our homeowners are going to ask one important and serious question, and is there anything you can do to keep the deer from eating all of their plants?
Unfortunately, legally, no. There are some deterrents we can use. I don't know how effective they are here in Alabama. I have not had great success with them elsewhere across this great country of ours. The best way to combat that is try to use plants that deer don't like to eat.
Yeah, but they're not as pretty. So
I know. It's an unfortunate situation.
Well, the deer.
The other thing is you just tolerate it, and maybe you plant some more of those.
So it'll keep us in business, I guess. We come back and refresh all the deer food every year. I know that's what we do at our house, in our lake house. But I jokingly, at spring, it's time to refill the deer feeders in the beds. So it's kind of fun. Depends on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for spending some time with us, and hopefully everybody at home have a different sense of, number one, how Lakescape's trying to approach, the holistic view of your entire lakescape. We want to understand what's important to you. Like Curtis said, you know, there are those that want to have a putting green for a front yard, and there's those that just want super low maintenance. And you know, all of those variables can be put together in a solution that'll make the right answer for that homeowner and be cost effective, quite frankly. Let's shift the spend to where they want. Maybe it's more about the hardscapes than it is, you know, the turf, or vice versa. So it's really important for you to understand what you want to do and what's your vision for that investment, and then allow us to kind of make that happen for you. So when you show up, you see and enjoy what you always wanted here on the lake. So thank you again, everybody, for spending some time with us, hearing a little bit more about our lawn maintenance services. We'll continue to talk a little bit more detail into other topics, including irrigation and other things like that as we go along. But just want to take this time to introduce Curtis. Thanks for coming out.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Look forward to seeing you in your yard.